Hello, you're on the Ruslan Belov channel, and today we'll discuss the situation in Ukraine as of April 22nd, 2025. A lot has happened today, so let's get started. Before we begin, I'd like to sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription helps the channel grow. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. Now let's move to the Sumy direction, starting once again with the settlement of Gornal. Today, as you can see, there are again a large number of markers on the monastery grounds. The reason is that this is one of the areas where, during the Easter truce, the Ukrainian side launched a counter-offensive. Independent neutral cartography reports that during this counterattack, Ukrainian forces managed to fully regain control of the monastery and Russian units were forced to retreat. These published images are now being used by pro-Western experts as evidence. The footage shows FAB high-explosive bombs striking Ukrainian armed forces positions on the monastery grounds after it had come under Russian control on April 17th. Let me remind you that on April 17th, the first verified footage appeared, showing Russian soldiers on the monastery grounds raising flags. Based on these images, reports from the Russian Defense Ministry on April 16th to 17th already referenced this. However, according to separate sources, a Ukrainian counterattack on April 20th allowed them to re-enter the monastery. This was one of the violations of the Easter truce, which Vladimir Putin and other Russian officials have frequently referenced lately. Now today, April 22nd, based on the latest footage, the map was updated in the morning to show the area back under Ukrainian control, marked yellow. But later in the day, the Sever North group of forces published a post claiming that by the morning of April 22nd, they had fully cleared the monastery and pushed out Ukrainian units. Shortly after, additional verified footage was released, showing Russian soldiers moving through the area and conducting evacuations. So at this point, there's no doubt that the monastery is under Russian control. However, this small Easter incident did happen, and Russia is now using it to question how future negotiations with Ukraine can proceed if even basic agreements like the Easter truce are not honored. Next, we move to the Kupiansk direction, more precisely the Kharkiv direction, where there have also been many developments. First, late in the evening, the Russian Federation launched a massive drone strike on the city of Kharkiv. According to pro-Russian sources, the strikes targeted military infrastructure, including possible drone production facilities used by the Ukrainian armed forces. Additionally, verified footage has emerged of Sontsepiok, TOS-1A thermobaric artillery strikes on a small forested area near the village of Tika. These are very important images because, over the past few days, we've repeatedly discussed increased Russian activity along the Volkhya River, where heavy missile, bomb and drone strikes have targeted all bridges and crossings Ukraine had established since the start of Russia's Kharkiv offensive. Now, with strikes on this forest, it's likely that the Russian army may soon launch an offensive in this sector. At the very least, to push Ukrainian units out of this woodland and closer to the Volkhya River, possibly securing the northern bank. Now let's move to the Lyman sector. There isn't much news from Kupiansk, nothing that changes the overall picture. But the Lyman direction has seen significant developments. A second incident was recorded where, during the Easter truce, Ukrainian forces counterattacked and partially regained control of tree lines and strongpoints east of the settlement of Redkadub. These areas have been marked by numerous experts and cartographers based on separate reports. Once again, Ukraine attacked during the truce, retaking small forested areas and shrubland. Another violation of the Easter ceasefire, according to neutral observers. A similar situation occurred near the village of Torska. Previously, most maps showed over 50% of Torska under Russian control. But after the Easter truce, adjustments appeared indicating that Ukrainian forces had fully retaken the northern part of the village. Another breach of the ceasefire, which Russia will likely use in future negotiations. At the same time, reports suggest Russian forces are now partially encircling Torski from the east and are positioned along the perimeter. Meanwhile, in the settlement of Zaporizhzhia, a key logistics hub and a support point for Ukrainian forces near Torski, Russian airstrikes, drone attacks, and Lancet loitering munitions are regularly deployed to suppress and destroy Ukrainian air defense AA operator positions. It's possible that Russian forces had to pull back from Torska temporarily. However, the intensity of combat and pressure in this area has not decreased. In fact, after the Easter truce ended, the Russian army only increased its tempo and offensive push against Ukrainian positions. Seversk front sector. Here, we're seeing steady Russian advances. Today, the Ukrainian side, specifically the 81st Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFU, released footage of FPV drone strikes on Russian units between Grigorovka and Belogorovka. Based on these images, minor map adjustments have been made. The strike occurred in this exact area, and overall, the dynamics here are highly active. Every 3 to 4 days, we see small frontline adjustments in favor of the Russian army. We've previously noted Russia's gradual advance toward Grigorovka. For reference, here's how the map looked by April 13, 2025, just over a week ago. Now, as of April 22nd, there's been a significant shift in Russia's favor. The distance to Grigorovka is now minimal, and it's possible that in the coming days, the Russian Ministry of Defense will confirm the full clearing of this small village, Kostiantynivka front sector. As usual, this area is extremely active, with numerous geolocated strikes, flag markers, and explosions. Let's break it down step by step. 1. Chassive Yard direction. This is likely the longest ongoing battle since the start of Russia's special military operation. Today, footage was released showing TOS-1 A Sontsepyok thermobaric strikes on the fortress in central Chassive Yard, as well as the Shevchenko district. Overall, Russia appears determined to finally break the stalemate in this area and reach the point where Chassive Yard is fully behind Russian lines. Despite fierce Ukrainian resistance, minor frontline adjustments are made almost weekly, indicating that while progress is slow, it is happening. 2nd Kostiantynivka-Toretsk line. No major updates yet on the Nelipovo-Toretsk breakthrough. The situation remains unclear, despite new footage emerging from the coal mine area, showing an FPV drone strike on Ukrainian positions. This suggests that the AFU still holds firm control over the mine, despite earlier geolocations showing Russian soldiers inside some structures. Combat is ongoing, but the overall situation remains uncertain. Meanwhile, heavy fighting continues along the railway line, stretching from Druzhba to Yuzhna Delivka and further north toward Oleksandro-Shultin. Over the past few days, Russian forces have aggressively attacked this sector using motorcycle units and light assault groups. Based on earlier footage, map adjustments were made, and now neutral and pro-Russian sources report that Yuzhna Delivka is under full and secure Russian control. At the same time, Russian artillery is striking further northwest, preventing Ukrainian reinforcements from stabilizing the front. This suggests that fighting here is nearing its conclusion, and Yuzhna Delivka will soon be fully under Russian control. After that, Russian forces will likely push further along the railway, aiming to penetrate deep into Ukrainian defensive lines and create a wedge in their formations. Looking at the map, the main objective appears to be an advance along this axis, followed by clearing remaining pockets of resistance near Nelipivka and Sichna Delivka to the northeast. While progress here isn't as rapid as on the Kleban-Beek axis, Russian forces are still advancing. Kleban-Beek direction. This sector is extremely active today, with numerous markers. The most significant update came from the Russian Ministry of Defense, announcing that units of the Southern Group have fully cleared the settlement of Sukabala. Sukabala update. So regarding this settlement, just yesterday, the map looked like this, with most of the area marked as disputed territory. While there were many reports from reliable sources, they lacked official confirmation from the Russian Ministry of Defense or verified objective footage. But today, the Russian Ministry of Defense has officially announced its capture. We're now waiting for video evidence, possibly showing the Russian flag being raised in the northern or central part of Sukabala in the coming days. In any case, we're seeing clear advancement here. There are almost no remaining strongpoints left for Ukrainian forces to use in defense. It's likely that the front here will collapse slightly, with Russian forces pushing toward Romanovka, as the AFU will likely try to hold the line along Highway H20 and the settlement itself. This suggests that all these fields and lowlands will fall under Russian control within the next few days, shifting combat operations to the Romanovka-Shcherbanovka line. Russian units will likely attempt to wedge between these two settlements, possibly advancing toward each separately. Pokrovsk sector, Avdiivka direction. No major changes here yet. No new updates from Mikhailivka or Mirolyubivka. Recall that last week there was heavy discussion, along with geolocated footage, suggesting Russian forces had entered Mirolyubivka. However, nothing new has emerged since, making it difficult to assess the current situation. Novopavlivka direction. Independent experts report that during the Easter truce, Ukrainian forces launched counterattacks here, regaining control of some previously lost territories. Ukrainian sources, e.g. Deep State, claim that Ukrainian units have cleared tree lines and strongpoints between Uspanivka and Udakne. While they don't outright mark these areas as Ukrainian-controlled, they label them as disputed or fog-of-war zones, hinting at ongoing counter-offensive actions. Map adjustments may follow soon. Additionally, pro-Russian and neutral sources confirm that Ukrainian forces retook Troitsky and forced Russian troops to withdraw from Bogdanivka. However, without verified footage, we're marking these areas as contested until further evidence emerges. It's possible that Russian forces are already counterattacking to reclaim these positions. This might have been part of a deliberate Russian strategy to test Ukraine's adherence to the Easter ceasefire. Notably, Putin made an intriguing remark in a recent interview, suggesting that Western countries advised Zelensky to observe the truce. This implies a possible tactical ploy by Russian leadership, perhaps even pressure on Ukraine to limit its offensive actions during the ceasefire. We'll monitor developments closely. Bogdanivka and heavy fighting pro-Ukrainian sources report intense combat in the southeastern part of Bogdanivka. While Russian forces continue striking Ukrainian FPV drone operator positions and field depots in the northwest, their attempts to gain a foothold in the southeast have so far failed. Zaporizhzhia direction. Little change here, except for one key development. South of Kamyanske, Russian units have reportedly seized farm complexes in the southeastern area. Just moments ago, new footage emerged of a strike on Russian positions south of Kamyanska and west of Lobkov. Based on this, we'll adjust the map shortly, but we'll discuss it in detail tomorrow. The footage suggests a large-scale assault, with Russian forces deploying significant armor and advancing toward Kamyanske. Closing. That's all for today, friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more updates. Take care.